insect and hexapoda. One is Columbola, Protura, and Diplura. Okay, Proturans and Diplurans. So you should be able to differentiate what is Protura, what is Diplura. Okay, so Columbola, you know, it is having 6 abdominal segments and the modifications. What is Protura? And antenna and eyes absent, or what is absent? Okay, so you should be able to remember that in which antenna and eyes are absent, in which antenna is moniliform like. Okay, so please remember, you should be able to remember what is columbola and what is protura, what is diplura. Okay, please remember that. Okay, you should be able to remember that. Okay, then coming to the next other insect orders, we will be starting with the two aterigotan insects. Okay, two aterigotan insects. Aterigota means absence of wings. A means absent, pterigota means wing. Okay, the first two insect orders which we call as aterigotan order. So one is Archaeognatha. Please remember, these names are not difficult. You should be able to read it loud whenever you have time, or whenever you have your manual. If you can keep open your manual and read it loud, you will get the meaning of that. Archeo means, okay, archeo. Okay, primitive Gnatha means ja. So they have a primitive type of mouth parts. Okay, so they have is the in Columbola, Protura, and Diplura, you had entognathus. The mouth parts were internal, whereas in this, the mouth parts are external. So you have archeo means primitive, gnatha means ja. Okay. So how do you identify these insects? Okay. So there are 2 or 3 characters which you should remember. Okay. So you can see that body is cylindrical. Compound eyes are contiguous. Okay. So what is happening here is that you see this. These are the compound eyes. They are continuous. Okay, they are very, very close together. Because of that, we call them as continuous. Okay, so you see that, so they are continuous. Okay, so this is the compound eyes. Can you see these compound eyes? Okay, so this is the character which is used for identification. Okay, then mandibles with a single articulation. Gnatha means jaw, single point of articulation. So please remember, they have a single point of articulation. Okay, because of that, you call them as Archaeognatha, primitive jaws. Okay, they have a primitive type of jaws. Thorax arched. So if you look at this, the thorax is arched. You can see this, the thorax is arched, the eyes are contiguous. Okay, so this is the character, cylindrical body. So this is how you can identify Archaeognatha. There are a few more characters. Okay, then abdomen with 3 long dissimilar filaments. So what is happening here is that dissimilar, 3 long, they are not equal, right? Why I'm telling is that in case of silverfishes, okay, silverfish looks like this, same as the Archaeognatha, but the tails will be, all of them are equal. So that means that's how you can differentiate. Eyes contiguous, body arched, okay, 3 long, okay, they are not long, okay, they are not similar. So because of that, we call them as Archaeognatha. So clear? Archeo means primitive, gnatha means jaw, primitive jaws. So they have a single point of articulation for the mandibles. Because of that, we call them as Archaeognatha. Thorax arched, abdomen with 3 long dissimilar filaments. So you can see that 3 long dissimilar filaments. Okay, so 3 long dissimilar filaments, body arched, both continuous compound eyes. Okay, so because of that, we call them as Archaeognatha. Okay, so this is one order. Okay, so where do you find these insects? They are found on the tree bark, because they feed on the some of the lichens or the leftover portion of the wood, dry wood. Okay, they'll be moving on the tree bark. You can easily collect them if you find time. Okay, then so you can see that there are some insects which cannot live without books. Okay, so we all know that we cannot live without our mobiles. Without our mobiles, we become handicapped. So there are some insects which are always seen on the books. So what is that? Okay, this is the silverfish. So if you how many of you have gone to library? Are you all seeing the presentation, and are you all hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so many of you have gone to library. Good. So if you open the old books, there is a small creature. Okay, I think this very tiny insects which will be running around. Okay, so they eat on the starch content of the book. Okay, book is nothing but the paper, right? So you have that starch content. Okay, so they feed on that. Okay, you can see that. Okay. Okay, so they are in between the books. If you open the old books, they are in between the books. So we call them as silver fish. Okay, again, they are ametabolous or they're ametamorphosis. What is ametamorphosis? There is no metamorphic change, right? Did you? This was an example. Silver fishes, ametamorphosis or anamorphosis. Each mouth, the number of segments keep on adding. Okay, they don't grow or they do not molt. They grow, but they do not molt. Okay, so this is the Thysanura. Okay, we call it as silver fish because of the scales on their body which look very silvery. Okay, apart from that, so what do you mean by Thysanura? Thysano means tassel. Tassel means if you have seen the way maize flowering, we call it as tassel, and ura means tail. So they have a long tail. Because of that, we call them as Thysanura. Ura, O-U-R-A, or U-R-A is called as the long tail in case of German or Latin words. Okay, so that is why, that is how you can remember this. So it belongs to the order Thysanura. What is the difference between Thysanura and Archaeognatha? If you look at that, the insect, the Archaeognatha had continuous eyes, very large compound eyes which were continuous, but here they are very tiny. And also you see that the long, there is no long median what segment or the style. Okay, but here they are all trying to be equal. Okay, Cersei long and many segmented, medium filament equally long. So all of them are long. Whereas in case of Archaeognatha, the median filament was very long. Okay, so all these three segments are, all the three Cersei are of equal length. Okay, so how do you differentiate this, or what are the character? They will ask you, right? The difference between Archaeognatha and Thysanura. One is the long median Cersei, and apart from that, the eyes, compound eyes. Okay, so that is for that. So sometimes they might also ask you, write the order level characters of the order Thysanura. So you should be able to tell them they are silverfish, commonly called as silverfish or bristle-tail. And mouth parts are entognathous. Again, mouth parts are entognathous. Sorry, I said it was ectognathous. So there are adapted for biting. Then antenna, many segmented. So look at that. There are so many segmented antennas. So tarsi, 2 to 5 segmented, abdomen 11 segmented, and there are lateral styli. Please remember, they have lateral styli and cerci. All the three cerci are equal to the median cerci, and also the lateral cerci are all of equal length. Okay, so that is how you can write the or identify this insect. Okay, so again, this is a silverfish. You can see that median styli, lateral styli, they are all of equal length. Eyes very tiny, they are well separated. Okay, so that is what is the primitive entognathous insect orders. First was Columbola, then we have Protura and Diplura, then we have the other two, that is the Archaeognatha and silverfish. So we have this as the primitive insect orders. Okay, so clear? Till here it is clear? So they are all Aterigoton insect orders. Okay, and okay, then coming to the next practicals. I think this was the this is your 10th practicals. Okay, if you look at your manuals, we are looking at Epimeroptera. Epimeroptera is nothing but mayfly. Odonata, Blattodea is nothing but cockroach. Mantodea is nothing but your praying mantids. Isoptera, Plecoptera, and Dermoptera. So I know it is too many insect orders, but you can remember some of them important orders with 1 or 2 characters. Okay, I'll try to explain or make it very easy so that you remember that. Okay, then So we remember that Entognathus exopodons, Columbola, Protura, and Diplura. Then we had the Ectognathus, that is nothing but the mouth parts are external, that is divided into Aterygota. We had Archaeognatha and Thysanura, whereas in case of Pterygota we have Paleoptera, Neoptera. That is means Palea means primitive, Terra means wing. So they have primitive type of wings. Okay, I'll tell you why they have called as primitive type of wings. So we have the Epimeraptor and Tonetta. So after that, they all follow. Okay, I'll tell you how things go on. Okay, so mayfly. Okay, so again, where do you get this mayflies? Know what is the habitat of the insect and how to collect it. Okay, and how to identify that. So this is what is very very important when it comes to the taxonomy. Okay, so especially the so we call them as mayflies. Why do you call them as mayflies? Because usually they emerge during the month of May. Okay, they're all aquatic forms and they breed or they live completely inside the water and they emerge out of the water in the month of May. So usually they come in the month of May. So aquatic insects. Okay, so many countries have released these stamps. So this is a stamp which the Poland has released. Okay, on the mayflies. So this is the nymph of a mayfly, whereas this is the adult of a mayfly. So this is fine. But so what do you mean by mayflies or Epimeraptera? Epi means short-lived. Okay, Epimera means short-lived, terra means wing. So please remember, ephemeros means short-lived. We say them they are short-lived because they live only for 24 hours, not more than that, or 48 maximum. Okay, they emerge out of the water, the wings are developed, they mate, and they die. Just even they don't have the mouth parts. They don't have the mouth parts at all because they don't need it because they feed only for. They don't even feed. Okay, they only mate and die. Okay, short-lived are the short lifespan of the adults. Okay, because of that we call them as epimeras or epimeraptera. Ephemera, we sometimes use the wordings in English. So his interests are ephemeral, means it is only short. We have some interest for a short period, after that it is gone. So it is nothing but ephemeras. Naiads are aquatic again. Well, so the naiads or the young ones are aquatic and the adults are short-lived for a few minutes to a few days depending upon the species. Okay, so that is how they are. There is one important word, subimago here. Okay, what do you mean by subimago is that this mayflies are Epimeraptera as the subimago stage. As soon as they emerge out of the wing, they young ones will molt just before taking on to the flight. Okay, so because of that we call them as subimago. Okay, mouth parts are vestigial. Okay, digestive system is filled with water, filled with air. Okay, because they do not have the mouth parts at all. You see that because they don't, there is no need for them to feed at all. The wings are membranous. Okay, four wings are membranous. Hind wings are smaller. Okay, and held upright like the butterflies. Okay, so that is how you can easily identify this insect. Okay, the second segment of the thorax is enlarged and holding for the flight muscle. You can see the thorax is enlarged and it holds the flight muscle because they need to fly. As soon as they emerge out of water, they need to fly. So they have strong muscle and also long tails. There are a pair of cerci. Okay, so they have a pair of cerci. And coming to the nymphs or the naiads, the naiads, they have the abdominal appendages. Okay, well, what are the, I think this was an example which was given, abdominal appendages. Anybody still remember abdominal appendages? So you see that they are aquatic, they need this gills for breathing, so they have the abdominal appendages. Tilier, the thorax, and wrist are the abdominal appendages. We get it in the abdomen of the mayflies. Okay, so not only that, so they have a very interesting compound eyes. You can see that they have a pair of stalked eyes. Okay, so if you look at the modification, not only eyes, they have the ocelli, and also they have a stalked eyes, very short stalked eye. It looks very interesting. Okay, it is seen in case of the male mayflies. You get this. Okay, very common. They come if you have a stream near your house, they always come, okay, to your house. So they are good indicators of okay. You can see that the antenna is very short. They're very short, and also they have a very large compound eye. In most species, the male eyes are enlarged and quite interesting. So you can see that the abdomen is roughly cylindrical with 10 segments and the long two cerci. They have a long cerci there. Okay. And where do you go and collect it? So you can go and collect it in the ponds or aquatic ecosystems. So you should know where to look for insects. Okay. So nymphs are like this. They are inside the water, and you can see that there are gills on their abdomen, and they will be on the stone or on the free flowing water. Okay. So they are very important insects as an indicator insects. We use them as to know whether the water body is polluted or not. We use them as an indicator. If more mayflies are there, that means the water body is very, very fresh, or the freshwater body is not polluted. Okay. So we take it like that. Okay. To evaluate the pollution levels, we use these mayflies as a indicator insects. Clear? If somebody is not understanding or clear, please feel free to leave a message in the chat box, or you can stop me and let me know. Okay, please. Okay, so if you look at this female mayfly, it lays eggs into the water, and the nymphs hatch, and after 1 year the adults come out. Okay, subimago just emerging from the nymphal skin, so we call it as the subimago. It will take some time, and as soon as comes out of the nymphal skin or the naiad skin, and it takes into the flight. So because of that, we call them as the mayfly, and they mate and they die. Female again goes to the water and lays the egg. Okay, so that is mayfly. Okay, Epimeroptera. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want some no also. Okay, anyway. Coming to the next insect order, it is the Odonata. Odo means okay, I'll tell you what is Odonata. So you can all recognize anybody from Western Ghats, Shumoga, Mudigere. So you go to any streams, you get this fantastic or very, very wonderful damselfly. Okay, so we call it as a damselfly. Anyway, so Odonata, we have the insect order Odonata. What do you mean by Odonata? So Odonata means, okay, I'll get into that. If you look at this, this is a fossil of a Odonata or your dragonflies. So they have a prehensile type of legs for capturing the prey, and also eyes. Okay, and they have a membranous wing. Okay? They have a membranous wing based on this. So we identify this insect order, membranous wing. So this is an example for the membranous wing. Okay. Anyway, so if you look at this insect, which is one of the primitive insect which was fossilized. Fossil means, so they had the actual insect was fossilized, and you see that the wingspan is 75 centimeters. 75 centimeters, you can imagine it is it is nearly 1.5 feet. So if you can look at that, the insect is one of the largest insect which has a very big wingspan like your eagle. Okay, and it can eat, since it is a predator, it can eat any other invertebrates or mammals or such kind of things. Okay, so this is that is why we call them as the one of the primitive insects. Okay, then so there are two suborders. Okay, there are two suborders, that is okay, before that, let us understand what is Odonata. Odonata means, so you can see that Odonto means Odonata means tooth. Okay, Odonto means tooth and very strong mandibles. So they have very, very strong mandibles. Because of that, we call them as Odonata. Odonto means meaning is teeth. Okay. Then distribution. So there are, okay, they are sorry. Okay, so they are distribution in the world, and the entire world there are more than 6,500 species. Okay, Okay, we'll not worry about that. But how do you identify this Odonata? So this is a dragonfly. Okay, so wings are equal or sub-equal. So their both wings are equal, or both pair of wings are equal, and both pair of wings are membranous. Okay, they have a membranous pairs of wings. Wings have a pterostigma. You can see that there is a small sclerotized or a hard, it is a non-translucent area, which we call it as the pterostigma. Okay. Okay, so this is a pterostigma and a well-developed nodus. Nodus is there nothing but there is a break between the two uh, uh, in between the wing. So that is the uh, nodus region. That is the nodus region. Okay, so you can see that there are the wings are membranous and there is a nodus and also a pterostigma. They help in balancing the dragonfly during the flight. Okay, and if you look at wings, membranous wings, okay, longitudinal wings, there are large number of longitudinal wings, and legs are directed forward for catching the prey. That is one interesting uh, uh, modifications in the leg, okay, of the Odonata. So they have a leg modified for capturing the prey. And the other very interesting thing is that the male accessory genital organ is present on the second and third abdominal segment. Usually, if you look at the insects, most of the cases, the male genital or the reproductive structures are present on the last few segments of the abdomen, right? But in this case, the male genital structure or the organ is present on the second and third abdominal segment. Quite interesting, quite different from rest of the other insects. Okay, I'll get into that later. Okay, so out we call them as naiads. Okay, the young ones are called as naiad because they are not similar to their parents and they are also in a different habitat. All of the young ones are seen in aquatic ecosystem, whereas the adults will be free flying. So they fly around different plants, they sit on plants, they catch the prey and eat. Okay, both are okay. And the nymphs have a modified labium, we call it as a mask to capture the prey. We call it as a prehensile organ. So they extend their mask and catch the prey. Okay, habitat: stagnant water, small ponds, lakes, rivers, and marshes. So if you go and sweep, take the water from the ponds and other things, you get this naiads. So you know where to collect the naiads. So you can go to any ponds. Be careful, don't get into that. Don't get into trouble, but you should be careful while collecting. Both adults and naiads are predators, so they are non-vegetarians are predators. So and dragonflies show territorial mating, so they have a very interesting behavior. They maintain their own territory and they stay in that. Okay, females of Zygoptera lakes in plant aquatic plants. Okay, so there are okay, Zygoptera. What is Zygoptera? I'll tell you. Okay, so if you look at this, so this is the extended mouth parts. Okay, modified labium, we call it as the prehensile organ. So they extend it and catch the prey. Yes, any doubts? So you can see that they are good predators of mosquito larvae. So they eat away a lot of mosquitoes and tiny fishes. Okay, so this is the modified labium. Okay, then I was also mentioning you that there are two suborders. I'll come to that. What is that? So the order Odonata is divided into two suborders. Please remember the order Odonata is divided into two suborders. We'll ask you differentiate, write the suborders of Odonata. They will ask you for. I'll come to that. What is the difference between a dragonfly and damselfly? Let us first look at what is the taxonomy part. What is Anisoptera and what is Digoptera? So Anisoptera is nothing but your dragonflies. Zygoptera means damselflies. Please remember two suborders. Anisoptera and Zygoptera. So one is Anisoptera is nothing but dragonflies, Zygoptera is nothing but damselflies. Okay, so they'll ask you for 2 marks question, differentiate Anisoptera and Zygoptera. Okay, please remember, I want all of you to focus on this class. I know it is online class, you will all be busy with so many other things, but still I want you to listen to the online class. It is very important. Okay, and we are falling short of time, so that is the reason we have online classes. Okay, so forewings, what is Anisoptera, what is Zygoptera? Forewings and hind wings are unequal in size. Okay, forewings and hind wings are unequal in size, whereas forewings and hind wings are of same size and shape. Okay, so that is why we call them as dragonflies and we call them as Zygoptera. And hind wings are broad at base, so the attachment of the hind wings is broader at base, whereas in case of Zygoptera it is narrow attachment. They have a thin narrow attachment, wings spread at rest, whereas wings are held vertically on the above their abdomen during the rest. They are very strong flyers, whereas these are weak flyers. So now you will understand what is Anisoptera and Zygoptera. Coming back to this, okay, okay. So you can, if you do look at this two posters here, the naiads, okay, of the damselfly. Damselflies are called as Zygoptera. They have the caudal gills. Caudal gills means at the tip of the abdomen they have the for respiration. Whereas in case of the dragonflies, the naiads are having the rectal gills. Okay, they are internal. You cannot see them, so they are internal, and we call them as rectal gills. Or okay, that is how you can differentiate the nymphs. Or the, sorry, that's how you can differentiate the naiads. Whereas adults, so how do you differentiate the adults? You can see that this is a they have the rectal gills, whereas the caudal gills are in case of damselfly, and in case of dragonfly you can easily differentiate that they have a prehensile. So this also has a prehensile modified labium. Okay, then so I was also mentioning about the mating. Okay, in case of the male you can see that the male has the modifications in their genital structures. So accessory male genital structures are present between the second and third abdominal segment. So okay, so you can see that first, second, and third. So they are present between the first and the are on the second and third abdominal segment. Please remember, this is a very interesting modifications. So what? How do they mate? So male scaffold of the female on the neck. Okay, using the cerci or the claspers which are present at the tip of the abdomen, and the female extends her abdomen to the male genital structures which are present on the second and third abdominal segment. So that's how they mate. So they form a entire circle. So if you look at this very interesting position, wheel position. Okay, so that's how they mate. So please remember, it is very important to write all these characters when they are asked in your exam. Can you see this? So you can see that this is a female and male with the accessory male genital structures which are present on the second and third abdominal segments. Clear? Okay, somebody had asked the doubt, what is the difference between a dragonfly and damselfly? Were you able to differentiate now? Okay, so somebody wanted the difference between a dragonfly and damselfly. So you can see that whenever the dragonfly sits, it puts the wing horizontally, whereas they puts the wing on their abdomen in a vertical position. Nymphs are the naiads, so they have the caudal gills, whereas they have the rectal pads or the rectal gills in case of the dragonfly naiads. So that is how you can differentiate. Clear? Any doubts? Okay, so Anisoptera is wooden dragonflies, Zygoptera is damselflies. Okay, so I mentioned. Then coming to the next insect order, Dictyoptera are your cockroaches. So can you all see this? Anybody, do you believe this? These are cockroaches? In fact, they are very
No, sir.
but these are the cockroaches. So we call them as Domino's cockroaches. These cockroaches are kept as a pet. Very, very. You all think cockroaches are the ones which are very, very ugly, or they feed on the dirty meat. It's not like that. In fact, cockroaches are good scavengers, but also they feed on the lot of organic matter. Okay, these cockroaches feed only on the organic matter, especially the leaf litter or the soil which is rich with organic matter. Okay, we call them as Domino's cockroaches because of the spots, and they are kept as a pets. In fact, we also have some of them live in our lab, so we also use them for something else. Okay, but they are kept for as a pets. Okay, so anyway, there are also countries which have released the stamp of cockroach. Okay, many of the countries, especially from Africa, okay, from America, the cockroach, they have also have a stamp on the cockroach. Okay, okay. If you look at this is a jewel cockroach, so they have a very interesting marking. Okay, because of that we call them as the jewel cockroaches. Okay, and there is one cockroach which is, we call them as the giant cockroach, which is measuring up to 70 in Australia. Okay, we call it as giant rhinoceros cockroach from northern Queensland, which is one of the largest species on the earth. Okay, cockroaches are always associated with human beings, so we say that they are usually often called as pests. Okay, there are four pests which are common in houses. Okay, American cockroaches, Periplanata americana. Okay, then German cockroach, we call it as furniture cockroach or a wood cockroach, Blattella germanica. Then Asian cockroach, Blattella asiani, and Oriental cockroach, Blattella orientalis. So that's how you, there are four species of cockroach which are common in household. Then how do you recognize the cockroach? So I think by this time you have caught so many cockroaches and you know so much about the cockroaches. So antenna, head, the modification in their thorax, and also the wings and their legs. Okay, and also in the cerci. Okay, but what are the characters? How do you identify? You can see that they are oval, flattened body. So they are flattened body like your the chapatis. Pronotum large. Pronotum is quite large. Chewing mouth parts. They have a very interesting mandibles. Okay, four wings, tegmena. So there is no need for me to explain about cockroach. And they have a prominent cerci and styling. So antenna is cetaceous type. So that is how you can remember the characters of the order Odonata. Sorry, Blatodia. Sorry. Okay, so Blatodia so is nothing but your cockroaches. So that's how you can easily identify this order. Then, so where do you find them? So you can get cockroaches everywhere. If you go to your room, if you go to your kitchen, if you go to a lot of these places, you get them. So they are scavengers. Okay, they eat almost everything. Okay, and they are widespread. They are present across wherever the human population is there. Okay, very interesting cockroach. Look at the way they are. It's not only the one which you collect, but quite interesting cockroaches. Okay, so I was telling you about the largest rhinoceros cockroach. It is almost the size of your palm. Okay, so it is also called as one of the largest cockroaches, Macro Panystia rhinoceros, which lives in the northern Queensland. It is nothing but your Australia. Okay, okay. So I'll not get into all those things. Okay. So the eggs of the cockroaches are called as utica. You can see that if you carefully count each segment, or they have a paired structure. If you cut open this into two equal halves, you will have eight rows of eggs in one side and 8 rows. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 16 eggs, they are always usually in the pairs. Okay, so that is how you can understand the utica. You can see that the nymphs just hatching from the utica, they are all in paired numbers. Okay, apart from that, they have a cerci and styli. So you know how to identify male and you know how to identify a female. Okay, clear? Okay, then coming to the next insect order, that is nothing but the Mantodia, Blatodia, and Mantodia. I also forgot to tell you. See, earlier the termites and cockroaches were separate insect orders, but now termites are also put along with cockroaches, so they become Blatodia. Okay, Isoptera is the insect order name termite, so now they have removed them into from the Isoptera and they have put clubbed together with cockroaches. Please remember, Isoptera is termites are also known as cockroaches now. Okay, this is for your information. It is the recent information or recent classification that we follow. Okay. 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 So if you look at this, this is nothing but the praying mantids. So what is the character of the praying mantids, or how do you identify this insect order? You can see that the four legs are having the spines. So the modifications has been told, right? What is this? Tibia or femur? Four femora has been modified for catching the prey. Okay, you can see that, and also the thorax is elongate. So let us look at what these characters are. They are quite camouflaging. You can see that, very interesting. It looks like a stick. Okay, so there's one. Anybody can identify the mantis here? Okay, we call it as the moss mantis. They are very much similar to the moss, sphagnum moss. Okay, if you are from Western Ghats, you will come to know what is the sphagnum moss. Okay, and the wings are quite colorful. They are very colorful. Okay, so and there are also stamps of mantids. Okay, so you can see that Europeans or Dominican have released a stamp on the cockroach on the mantid also. Okay, so what is that? So how do you identify the cockroach? So you can see that their legs are modified. Okay. So if you look at the four legs are with the spines. Okay. For grabbing and holding the prey. Prothorax and prococcyx prolonged. You can see that the prothorax is very much enlarged. So prothorax is enlarged, and also the forecoccyx. Pro means first. Okay. The forecoccyx are enlarged, whereas the middle and end coccyx are shorter. So they are shorter. Here you can see the forecock quite enlarged, and trochanter and femur is having lot of spine. So that is how you can identify a praying mantid. Coccyx, trochanter, femur. Okay, femur is having lot of spine. Forecoccyx is enlarged. Okay, so you can see that. So this is how you can identify a praying mantis. So some of the characters, the wings are tegmina-like. Okay, the forecoccyx are enlarged and modified, whereas femur is modified with large number of spines. They hang on to the, they catch on the other insects and they feed. They are predators. So what is the type of head orientation? It is hypognathous. The head is projected down. Okay. Economic importance. Coming to their economic importance, most of the insect orders you should know what is their economic importance, because we are all human beings and we are all looking at some or the other useful things from the insects. Selfish people. Okay, so we look at, we can we use this praying mantids for our economic importance? Yes, definitely we can use them for control of pests, because they are general predators. So they eat away other insects. Any insects which come into their way, they eat. And also there are cannibalistic. So they eat their own species. Okay, if you put two mantis together, one will be surviving and other will be gone. So I think they can also eat large birds. If you look at this is a sunbird. They are also capable of eating very large birds. And I was also telling you some facts. So mantids are the only insect which can turn their heads side to side without moving any part of the body. So they can rotate completely like your owls. Okay, and female mantids eat away her mate while he is still linked with her in copula. So even the females will eat away their own mate when male is mating. This behavior is probably more common in captive than in the wild. So usually that is what happens. Okay, most mantids are cryptically colored and they blend with the habitat in which. So many of them, they eat away large insects. Okay, or large other. So you can see that a female cockroach eating away the male after it's been mated. Okay, so anyway, so and the eggs of the praying mantids are called as utica, similar to the eggs of the cockroaches. So this is a orchid mantis or a flower mantis, which looked like a flower. You don't believe them, right? So these are all real images. Okay. So they look very, very interesting. Moss mantis, they look very much similar to the sphagnum moss. Flower mantis, they look like the flower. Okay. Look at that. Orchid, it looks very similar to the orchid. Okay. They have a very interesting markings on their wings to scare away other predators. So if something comes too near to them, they can also scare away. So that is how they are. Then coming to the next insect order, I think there are two more. I'll finish it off. Okay. By another 10 minutes. We call it as Plecoptera. Pleco means stone, terra means wing. Okay. Aquatic, it is again one more aquatic insect where okay. Okay. So Plecoptera is nothing but we call them as stone flies. Okay. There are okay, we'll not get into what there are. Okay. So they are also again present in the aquatic ecosystem. They are also used as a what indicator for the water pollution, because they cannot tolerate any pollutions in the stream, and they act as a good indicator for the quality of water. The name Plecoptera means braided wing, from the ancient Greek name plekia, to braid. Para means wing. So nothing but braided means they are folding. Their wings are folded. Because of that, we call them as braided. Okay. This refers to the complex of venation on the pair of wings. So they have a complex of venation and also they are folded. Because of that, we call them as Plecoptera. Okay. Okay, so what is the character? The nymphs, again, you can see that they have the they are aquatic in nature, and also they have the long sulci in their abdominal tip, and they feed on the whatever the material which comes in their way. The other interesting things about the nymphs is abdominal and thoracic gills. So there are also thoracic gills and abdominal gills present in case of stoneflies. Okay, so that's how you can identify this insect order. Okay, there are numerous veins. Okay, and also the folded wings. Because of that, we call them as Plecoptera. Okay, I was also mentioning about the order Isoptera. So Isoptera is nothing but termites. So now the Isoptera, the insect order Isoptera is merged with the cockroaches. Please remember, recently they have put termites also with cockroaches. Both termites and cockroaches are same. Okay, because of the lot of characters which they have used. They are also organic food decomposers. Okay, then how do I identify termites? So they have a iso means equal, terra means wings, equal wings. When the four wings and hind wings are equal, are of same size and shape, including the venation. Because of that, we call them as the Isoptera. If you collect the winged forms, you will come to know. Coming to the termites, there is very interesting colony organization. So they are social living. So they have a society of their own where you have a king. Okay, so there's a king, there's a queen, there's a wingless worker, and also a soldier. So they take care, they take away the organic matter and they grow a fungus. Okay, and they feed on that, and the young ones are given with the fungal spores. Okay, they have a fungal garden of their own. In fact, agriculture was first started by insects, not by humans. So they have their own, they grow their own fungal garden. So that means they know agriculture better than human beings. Okay, and if you look at their mandibles, these termites have a very interesting mandibles, especially the soldiers. So look at the sharp mandibles they need for them to fight against the predators, especially the ants which come there. They use their mandibles to fight on the other predators. Okay, so iso means equal, terra means wing. Okay, so you see, look at the such big termitorium. So wherever they are, you can see that they are the mud pillars are nothing but the termitarium. Okay, and they are a serious problem, especially economically important. You need to, they come and feed away your furniture, they feed away your book, they damage the crop because they feed on the root system. So controlling termite is a biggest challenge. Okay, okay, so that's how you can identify the adults. Body, head well developed. They have very strong chewing mouth parts. Okay, monolithium form type of antenna. Compound eye is present, and two pair of membranous wings similar in size and shape. Iso means equal, so that is why we call them as Isoptera. And one important character is these wings are they shed their own wings very easily because they have a basal structure. So what they do is that this attachment of the attachment of the wing is called as the basal fracture. They vibrate it or use that, and they dislodge their wings once they want to get into the soil. The winged forms, you see that in the as soon as there is a rain in the June, a lot of this termites will be coming, especially the winged forms will be coming to the light, and you see that there will be no termite left, only the wings will be left because they have a basal fracture. As soon as you try to catch it, they lose their wings. So because of that, you can easily identify them, or you can that's how you can identify. So they have a social organization. They are divided into groups, nymphs, or the sterile worker, and a soldier. Okay, you can see the soldier with a strong mandible. You can see the workers are doing work, and there's a soldier which is guarding their colony. Okay, the path. And this is a physogastry. I think there was a question in your exam. What is physogastry? Queen. So you can see that queen mates for a lifetime, and she can lay. It is nothing but an egg factory. She keeps on laying eggs. So nothing like that, more than 1,000 eggs per day. So imagine 1,000 eggs per day is not a joke. Okay, so it is completely, she's been fed with high protein content. Okay, so that is what it is. Soldiers again. Okay, then economic importance of the soldiers are the termites. They feed on the wood material or the plant material, lot of things, and also they feed on, they come to your houses. Not only that, we also use termites for human consumption. They are highly proteinaceous. Okay, so not only by humans but also by the birds and other other organisms also. You can see that. Okay, they damage the crop. Okay, you can see that they are damaging the crop. They are damaging crop by root feeding. Okay, especially at the seedling stage. Okay, so that's how you can identify a termite. Coming to the last insect order, that is the Derma. Derma means skin, Terra means wing. Okay, but there is no reason to say it is a Dermaptera. So they say that it gets into the ears. Because of that, they call it as earwig, commonly called as earwig. It is a myth. It is not the true. Okay, please remember, they don't get into the ears of humans. So, but simply people say it is a earwig. Okay, Derma meaning skin and Terra meaning wing. So I said that it is known as Dermaptera and refers to the thickened forewings. Okay, you can see that the forewings are short and thickened, whereas hind wings are membranous. Okay, antenna is beaded like. Okay, slender mouth parts, mandibulate. Okay, tarsi 3 segmented. Forewings are short and leathery. Hind wings are semicircular and pleated. So pleated means they have margin-like structures. Okay, hind wings are semicircular, and cerci is enlarged to form a pincers. So they have a forceps like pincers, which are very, very hard. So that is the character. Mouth parts mandibulate. Okay, then forewings are shorter and leathery. Hind wings are semicircular, and they have a pincer like forceps like structure of cerci. So this is the identification character. They also have they are also predators, especially they can get into some of the especially they can get into the storage food. Okay, storage products like groundnut, and also not only that, they also feed on the plants. Okay, that's how they are scavengers, and some are predators, both they are. Okay, and they have a parental care. So you can see that the mother taking care of the eggs, so they also have the parental care. And this is one of the largest giant earwig, Labra herculina, which is now extinct, or people could not find it again after it was found earlier, but now they do not find this. Okay, very large, almost the size of the hand. Okay, so I'll stop at this point. So any doubt you can ask me now. or else you can also ask me anything regarding taxonomy whenever you meet me or whenever you find time. Okay, please let me know. Any questions, please? And few questions at least. No questions. Are you all there? Whether I am alive? Okay, I'm alive.
We are there, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, any questions, please? 2 minutes. I want some discussions. At least some one question. I've all seen these insects. Try to collect them. I think you're all at your home. Please move around. I know online classes are bugging you or troubling you. I'm sorry for that. Okay, but still, I want you to find some time, go around your houses, look for the insect. Especially you are all from different places. You might get very interesting insects. Okay, so that is the reason why I'm asking you. Okay, please find some time. And this insects, you should remember at least 2 or 3 important characters to identify the insect order. For example, Isoptera means equal wings, moniliform antenna, then they have a strong mandible. Dermoptera, pair of pincer-like structures, forewings are shortened, semicircular hind wings, and mandibulate type of mouth parts. So Columbola, Protura, Dipleura, how do you identify Archaeognatha? Continuous size, arched thorax, and 3 unequal cerci, or the longitudinal cerci is very, very long. Then it comes to silverfish. So they also have 3 equal longitudinal wings and they feed on the starch content. Okay, eyes are separated. Okay, mandibular articulation. So at single point, then so whatever the insect orders you looked around it, so please try to remember them. It becomes easy. So definitely there will be a question. Differentiate between Anisoptera and Zygoptera. Odonata. What is the family order level character of Odonata? Odonto means teeth. Nata means they have a strong jaw. Okay, because of that we call them as Odonata. Okay, and they use their mandibles for feeding on other insects. They are predators. They have a prehensile leg, all the 3 pairs of leg modification. Okay, equal wings in case of Anisoptera. Zygoptera, the wings are narrow. How do you differentiate Anisoptera and Zygoptera? The nymphs are the naiads are having rectal gill in case of Anisoptera, whereas in case of Zygoptera they have the caudal gills. Okay, please remember this. And the wings are head horizontal, wings are head vertical. So that is how you can differentiate. These are easy marks. Okay, where we can get it. Okay, I'll stop at this point. Any more questions? Any questions? Okay, no more questions or any questions? Okay, if not, I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.